On behalf of the League of Women Voters, on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Jackson County, I welcome you to the Candidate Forum for Carbondale City Council. It is our goal that this forum provides you with a greater understanding of the responsibilities and issues facing members of the City Council, as well as learn more about the candidates who aspire to this office. The League of Women Voters appreciates the candidates' willingness to participate and inform voters about their candidacy. This election season, the League of Women Voters, in conjunction with the Carbondale Public Library, is hosting two candidate forums. The first was last Thursday for the School Board District 95. That forum and this one will be available for viewing through the library website. There are 7 candidates running for the Carbondale City Council for 3 four-year terms. The candidates present tonight in the order they are on the ballot are Brian Stanfield, Nathan Colombo, Don Roberts, Lee Fronenbarger. Jason Endicott is not present due to a previous work commitment. Write-in candidates present are LaKG Hill and Ginger Rice Sanders. The format for tonight will unfold in 3 parts. In part 1, the candidates will introduce themselves. They will each have 1.5 minutes for their introduction and to answer general questions about their candidacy. In part 2, they will be asked a series of questions. All candidates will be asked to answer the first question. The candidates will then be divided into 2 groups of 3. Each group of 3 will be asked 3 additional questions for a total of 6 different questions. This method will allow the audience to hear candidates' views on a broad range of topics. 1.5 minutes are allowed for each response. In part 3, after the question answer period, each candidate will have the opportunity to tell us more about themselves, to bring up an issue not covered, answer a question asked by the other group, or respond to comments made by other candidates. 1.5 minutes will be allowed for these final comments. Feel free to request that a question be repeated. Each candidate will now have 1.5 minutes to introduce themselves. In your introduction, please include your qualifications to be on the City Council, the length of time you have lived in Carbondale, and highlights of your involvement in the community. Please also include in your answer what you see as the role of the City Council in the long term and the day-to-day operations of the city, and what particular experiences or skills you have that would make you an effective council member. The introductions will be made alphabetically. Candidate Colombo.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nathan Colombo, and I'm a lifelong resident of Carbondale. I started out participating in city government when I was a kid, joining the Carbondale Youth Coalition at age 13. I, in fact, still have the little piece of paper that I received from completing that program when I was a kid. Onward into college, I participated in Model Illinois government, and in my early 20s, I was lucky enough to be appointed to the Carbondale Downtown Advisory Committee, something that really held a special place in my heart because that's where I've spent much of my time growing up, like probably many of the folks on this Zoom call have. As I got into my later 20s, when some experiences that I had trying to engage with city government didn't pan out exactly like I had hoped so, I took it upon myself to seek elected office, not necessarily knowing that there would be a particular outcome of victory, but that I would have a positive influence on the conversation and, the long-term outcome of building a broader base of political power amongst more than just myself here in Carbondale. And I would like to think that over the past several years, I've seen that come to fruition. One of my big motivators in continuing to seek office here in Carbondale really comes down to 2 different things, little sayings that I carry with me when I talk to folks. One is that I didn't have to go to the world to experience the world. Growing up in Carbondale, the world came to me. And then just the same, Carbondale is the kind of place that changes people who go on to change the world.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And candidate Fronenbarger.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lee Fronenbarger. I have been a homeowner and taxpayer here in Carbondale continuously for over 32 years. I have previously served on the Carbondale City Council for 10 years. and on the City Planning Commission for 4 years. I am retired from SIU after 22 and a half years of service as a civil service employee, working with undergraduate transfer students, off-campus military program students, faculty, community college staff, and advisors, etc. I currently serve as representing Jackson County on the Southernmost Illinois Tourism Board of Directors. Over the past 32 plus years, I have been actively involved in many community projects to improve the quality of life for our citizens here in Carbondale. The growth and progress of Carbondale is very important to me, and the creation of jobs in our community is key to that goal. A healthy community is created and with strong job growth and increasing the recycling of money within our community. Expanding current business and industry, as well as recruiting new business and industry, will help get Carbondale back on track to being an innovative and prosperous city. We also want to continue Carbondale as the regional center for commerce, healthcare, education, arts, and entertainment. Thank you.
Thank you. And candidate Hill.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lakeji Hill. Most of you will actually know me from that guy from Victory Dream Center who sings and who volunteers, helping give food out to our community 2 times a week. I've been living in Carbondale since I was 6 or 7 years old. My family came from Chicago. We had a family fire up in Chicago. We had some family that was down here for SIU. So Carbondale has been the place. I was also appointed to the City Council back in June of 2023. I've been there for almost 2 years now. I've just enjoyed my time serving on the City Council. I've enjoyed my time serving my community in this form, way of another. So yeah, I'm just Lakeji Hill, the guy who's always doing some acts of community service, finding some way that he can serve and better his community. So I yield back my time. Thank you.
Thank you. And candidate Roberts. Ms. Roberts. We will come back to Ms. Roberts. Candidate Rye Sanders.
Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Ginger Rye Sanders, and I have been in Carbondale for a very long time. I attended elementary school here, high school, went to John Logan College. I was the first Black student trustee at John Logan College. My picture still remains in the president's office. I am here in Carbondale. I served for 27 years as a state representative for the Office of State Guardian, dealing with disabilities of adults. I've been in community involvement and community participation, citizen participation, just about all my life. At a very early age, 18 years old, I was an administrative assistant for Norval Haynes, who was in charge of citizen participation, collaborating with the city of Carbondale. I believe it was Mr. Bird at the time, and Carol Bird, I believe it was. And I have been actively involved as an agent of change, changing situations.
Thank you, Ms. Rye Sanders.
Oh, I'm already through already? Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I'll finish up on the end. Thank you.
Thank you. And candidate Roberts, we'll go back to you.
Hi, sorry about that. My name is Dawn Roberts. I grew up here, but I left to explore the country. And I built a career in IT and then in project management with IBM. At IBM, I worked with international teams on complex projects, and it was a lot like herding cats. Like many of us, I came back to Carbondale because I love it here. It has amazing potential that I couldn't find anywhere else. It has potential in its business opportunities, potential in its nurturing a brilliant and thriving inclusive community, and also my pride in being my family's third generation here. Carbondale is home. Since returning, I've worked in public health and in mental health. I serve on the Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee and have been actively engaged in city council meetings. The role of Carbondale City Council members is to represent all citizens of this amazing community, that we have a responsibility to ethical governance, making policy, and making sure the city manager is carrying out the council's priorities. I want to serve the city council to be accountable to the people of Carbondale and to help build a local government that earns and keeps the public's trust. My experience in project management, public health, and advocacy prepares me to take on our challenges and build a stronger community. Carbondale has so much to offer, and with your vote, I will work to facilitate growth and prosperity for our entire community. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Stanfield.
I thought I was the only one having computer problems tonight. Hi there, I'm Brian Stanfield. I am originally from Iowa, but like a lot of people, I came here for school a little over 25 years ago and never left. I came to study philosophy, and what I found was my home. Carbondale has all kinds of things like I'd never experienced any place where I've lived before in terms of lively arts and music scene, unique local businesses, restaurants, all on the edge of the Shawnee Forest, which is also kind of mind-blowing to an Iowa boy. But I was lucky enough to make a career here at John A. Logan, where I'm teaching philosophy currently, buy a home and settle into the community that I've come to love. I grew up in a politically active family in Iowa and vowed never to have any part of that. After seeing how that can go, Iowa has a 365-day political cycle every year. But living here and becoming part of a community, I realized that I actually want to be engaged and contribute and serve the place that I have come to love.
Thank you. We will now go to part 2, which is the question section. All candidates will answer the first question. The remaining 6 questions will be divided between the candidates. Responses are 1.5 minutes. This first question will be answered in reverse alphabetical order. And it's actually 2 questions. What are 2 to 3 strengths of which our city can be proud? What do you see as 2 or 3 needs that our city should address? And we'll begin with candidate Stanfield.
The strengths of Carbondale is location. It's a unique spot, has a lot to offer just in terms of its geographical location. But it also has its crossroads for a lot of different communities, a lot of different cities around us. So we have a lot of opportunity in terms of access for outside business opportunities, development and growth. And we also have a very engaged community in a lot of different ways, not just in governance, but in terms of community organizations. In terms of what we can improve, I think we'll probably talk about this later, but just the appearance of Carbondale in terms of its properties around town, the things that we can do to try and revitalize the community from the inside out, develop business opportunity, build and grow local businesses, and try to create an atmosphere where people want to come visit, people want to come invest, and like me, stay and grow.
Thank you. Candidate Rice Sanders.
Well, the city of Carbondale, it's getting somewhat better with dealing with the crime issue, which has always been an issue that has been really outstanding. It seems as though that the crime index was like 451. Now it is like 100 and maybe 40 now. So the city is doing a lot better with dealing with crime. And I know we have a long way to go. but I believe that we are headed in the right direction. And the city also is doing better with diversity. When I came on as city council member in 2021, there was 88% that were white, and the other percentage, 12% maybe, were people of color. Now we see diversity in our police department and also in our city government, which is also better to me. Things that are not going quite as well to me is ethics. Ethics is a problem to me in Carbondale, and it seems as though that the city of Carbondale can work on ethics. Our city is somewhat divided, and so we have different perspective on what's right and what's wrong. And when we come together in unity and collaborate together, I think we will be a much better city. And so we need to work on civility. We need to work on things that are important in growing a healthy Carbondale. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And candidate Roberts?
Strengths in our community, we've got a lot. Carbondale's wonderful. We have a very diverse and engaged community. We've got a vibrant mix of residents, students, professionals who bring a lot of energy and innovation. And that's also because we've got an amazing educational and research hub. SIU provides lots of opportunities for education, workforce development, and economic growth. And having the university here greatly benefits the city, and the city benefits the university. We've got natural and cultural assets. We have had an amazing, I know I keep saying amazing, we have a wonderful music scene that we've had forever. Plus we've got a thriving arts scene. We've got natural outdoor spaces like Brian mentioned, the Shawnee. It's truly unique region. And it's absolutely beautiful. Our needs are some of our needs that we have. We need stronger economic development. We need to attract and retain businesses that can create stable jobs and revitalized underutilized areas. We need improved housing conditions. We need to address our dilapidated housing and create a Carbondale that people want to move to and want to bring their families to. And a Carbondale that we can be proud of. Public safety and infrastructure. We need to address long-term roads.
Thank you. And candidate Hill.
Yeah, some things that the city has been really good at, like everyone's saying, diversity. The city is so diverse. Carbondale is literally the melting pot. I would call us the melting pot of America. There's so many different individuals that come here or whatnot. Another good thing for the city, that a lot of the residents that have went through the school systems here, because we have a really, really good school system. I don't think people understand our public school systems here is really, really good. A lot of those students are leaving, but they're coming back and they're filling in these jobs that the city have. I've seen so many of my classmates that moved away, but they're coming back. So the city is doing really good at bringing some of these people. The city can definitely do better at economic development. They can definitely do better at making it easier for these businesses to want to come here and stay here. The city can definitely do better with our homelessness issue right now. The city can definitely amp up their game. The city can amp up their game in almost every single thing, but I'd rather definitely focus on the positive and the good things that the city do. Like we have our train station, we have our outdoor venue for our music stage. Like Don was saying, we have such a thriving entertainment arts. Like the city is just, we just have so many good things going on. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Fronenbacher.
Yes, to me, Carbondale is just the right size. We're not too large, we're not too small. What has been said for years and years, we're a small town with big city amenities. We're so lucky that we have a university here in our community, which provides a lot of activities, whether it's arts, entertainment, music, sports. A lot of national speakers come in. It's a great opportunity, and it also provides us to be diverse, learning about cultures all around the world. Another plus is the great city services that Carbondale is able to offer. If you look at some of our neighboring communities, we offer so much more to our residents. In particular, a lot of cities do not have curbside recycling. So we're so fortunate to have that. We have a very professional staff for the city, as well as police department and fire department. They're very high rated, so we're very lucky to have that. As far as negatives, I think one of our negatives is we have to do something about our housing stock, our old housing stock. We've got to revitalize neighborhoods, and we got to encourage people to come and join us here in Carbondale, not just work in Carbondale, but come live with us. Another kind of negative is the perception that people have about Carbondale, particularly on social media. We seem to get beat up so much on social media. They do not know the real Carbondale, so we have to change
Thank
that
you.
perception. Thank you.
Thank you. And candidate Colombo. You need to unmute.
Thank you. I'll build a little bit off of what Lee's discussing, right? Carbondale's had a lens on itself for so long, being a place with so many news agencies and so much activity that it's always been a place that has risen above many of its neighbors and its visibility. And that can lead to difficult issues around, perception of public safety, perception of, our business-friendly climate, right? And so that's one of the things that we definitely need to address. In addition to that, population decline. I would say one of our greatest issues in Carbondale has been population decline, because the fewer people we have, the less activity we have in the town, and the harder it is to build community with less activity. But on the plus side of that, we're in a place now where we're a blank slate, able to build what we see as the future with our present activity. And beyond that, it's not just having that blank slate, it's having a strong community that's ready to fill that blank slate with ideas, activity, and future-focused efforts. So, thank you.
Thank you. We are now going to divide our candidates into two groups. The division was made alphabetically. Group 1 includes candidates Colombo, Frohnebarger, and Hill. Group 2 includes candidates Roberts, Rice-Sanders, and Stanfield. The following question will be asked to all members of Group 1. How do you view issues surrounding home ownership and rental property? Candidate Hill?
How do I view it? I view it that we are in a dire need of better landlords. We're in a dire need of better rental property. Carbondale has been in a dire need for that for a very, very long time. I feel that it is time for the city to step up and actually do their job in controlling a lot of this mess. I'm so glad that we're finally got the tenant and landlord ordinance going. I'm glad we got a lot of feedback from both sides or whatnot. So we need to do a better job at protecting our good landlords and protecting our good tenants. Thank you.
Thank you. And candidate Frohnebarger? You need to unmute. The question was, how do you view issues surrounding home ownership and rental property?
Okay. The city of Carbondale does offer some special programs to encourage home ownership. They have a down payment assistance program where people can get up to $3,000 toward a home down payment. So they're trying to encourage home ownership. They have programs for curb appeal. They have programs to convert rental houses back into single family. As far as the rental part, I think we have a very good program on the inspections. It's like a three-legged stool. You have to have all three legs for it to stand. You've got the tenants, you got the landlords, but you also have to have the city to kind of oversee between those two groups and make sure people are living in decent housing. So I continue to encourage the city to beef up the inspection program so we can make sure that people that live here, particularly students, have safe housing. And we want to encourage that as much as possible.
Thank you. Candidate Colombo?
We had a really good suggestion from a prominent local landlord in our candidate meeting with the Chamber of Commerce's Business Development Committee last week. Several of the candidates were present for that, and their suggestion was simple. The city needs to get some teeth to take on the bad landlords and not be afraid to do what needs to be done to address the handful of folks that spoil property ownership and rental for many folks throughout town. If we don't step up to address this now and really put process in place for the future, the reality is we're exchanging our current local landlords for out-of-town landlords that see Carbondale as an investment property where the likelihood of them taking care of this place is less and less because they don't have a personal connection to this place. In addition to that, the concern for the cost of rent and the affordability to actually be able to live in the house that you want to in Carbondale should be a concern for us as we see out-of-town larger property entities acquire property in Carbondale. In addition to renters looking on the development side, we need minimum development standards that are going to allow us to build quality housing stock moving forward so that homeownership is not just a possibility in Carbondale for many, but we actually have good housing stock long-term for folks to be able to buy.
Thank you very much. The following question will be asked to all members of Group 2. We sometimes hear Carbondale is a dangerous place to live. How can the city change that perception? What steps can the city take to promote a more positive relationship between the residents and the police department? Candidate Steinfeld?
Stanfield.
Stanfield, I'm sorry.
That's okay. You'd be amazed the number of different names I get. And from my students even, they see me every day. There are so many things, so many directions we can go in talking about crime in Carbondale. And a lot of it is by reputation, by perception, not necessarily reality. As Councilperson Rice-Sanders mentioned earlier, the statistics are dropping, but there are still some fundamental problems that we need to understand. The problem is understanding them has kind of been haphazard at this point. We need a strong move to collect constant, consistent data to find a way to interpret that data and try to apply it in consistent and common sense ways. Without a real understanding of all the problems involved, we're just going to be running around putting out little fires here and there without a consistent and stable overall product. So we really need to make a more concerted effort in trying to genuinely understand where the crime is coming from and what kind of crime it is. Thank you.
Thank you. And candidate Rice-Sanders?
Carbondale, to me, I've been here for a long time and I love Carbondale. And we have problems. It has been crime infested. We have a lot of different individuals that migrate into Carbondale area. And those differences sometimes cause confusion. But I believe that when we as a city begin to stress community involvement in Carbondale, and community involvement to me is when we, members of the community, are involved with the decision-making activities of what's going on in Carbondale. And so when we have our citizens that are involved in what's going on in Carbondale, it gives us a two-way process of actively being engaged in our communities and what goes on in our communities. We have to understand that our neighbor, we are connected to our neighbors. And if we have that unity in the city of Carbondale, the city won't look so bad. And with this divide that we have so far in Carbondale, it's causing more division, and one side of town thinks one way and another side of town thinks another way. If we come together in unity, I believe that we can begin to dialogue and put away some of these ideas that we have about Carbondale being so bad. And
Thank you.
we just have to understand that we are better together and we can solve
Thank you,
this
Ms.
problem.
Rice
Thank
Sanders.
you. Okay.
Thank you. And Candidate Roberts.
Crime is definitely something that's been on my mind. It's been on everybody's mind. When Brian and I have been door knocking and talking to people in various, all over the city, a lot of people have brought this up as something that's very concerning to them. And to piggyback off what Brian said, to address the problem, we really need to know the nature of the crimes and what police are currently doing about it. What are their activities, and what are the general crime trends? Are we seeing more during winter months, summer months, when students are here, when they are not? That can tell us a lot about the nature of how to address the issues. We need solid data to be able to effectively address this issue. Doing something like creating a task force, which would involve people from the community coming in and digging into the information and data to figure these things out, would be incredibly helpful. And as well, doing things like strengthening our neighborhood communities. We've got some very strong neighborhood associations in town, and I would encourage more neighborhoods to meet their neighbors and create communities. And this type of thing, knowing your neighbors, can really help reduce crime. Thank you.
Thank you. The following question will be asked to all members of Group 1. How can the city better engage the community and ensure all voices are heard? What can the city do to build a sense of community in Carbondale? Candidate Hill?
Yeah, ask. I'm very big on asking. Ask them what they want. Ask them what they want. But it also is on the community that when we ask, to actually let us know, to actually come out and let us know, because we want to know. But yeah, what the city can keep doing is just ask. Up the asking, up how we're advertising that, hey, we're doing a public forum on this issue. Hey, we're doing a community forum on this issue. I think just the city just needs to really just keep at asking, and the community needs to also do their part and give us the information. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And Candidate Colombo?
I think this is an issue that falls on the individual community member to get out there and participate in whatever way they see best, knowing that the city is providing a lot of different avenues to participate. It can look like showing up at a city council just to watch and listen and better understand how government's functioning at a constituent level. Seeking out and asking for a spot on a board. I can think of a couple names offhand that folks that I've just gotten to talk to who have reached out to me and said, I have an interest in this thing. What do I do about it? And I say, Planning Commission or Human Relations or Sustainability. And those folks have sought out those opportunities, and they've received them because we have a city that's willing to engage everyday individuals and not just build a wall to keep constituents away from participating. We are an open and available city government. Beyond that, I think the city does a pretty good job of hosting different types of forums and different types of events that allow for individuals to participate in everything from, leisurely activities. We've talked about concerts and music. That's a way of engaging with your city, all the way to things like, the at the table conversations that the city hosts. So, I think it's on the city to keep these pathways open, and it's on our citizens to show up and participate.
Thank you. Candidate Frohnenberger.
Yes, the city needs to keep the citizens well informed, whether it be through the city's website, through Facebook posts, social media posts. It's important to keep the citizens aware of all public meetings and whatnot. A lot of communities utilize their utility bills to send out community information. Almost everybody looks at their utility bill, so having that additional city information on that utility bill is a help to get the word out to the citizens so they'll know what's going on and hopefully participate within the community. Also, The city providing volunteer opportunities within the community helps to engage the citizens and make them feel proud of the community. I know, like Murfreesboro, they have volunteers that beautify their downtown for several seasons. It's not the city that does it; it's the volunteers. And when you take pride in your community, when you know that when you volunteer like that, you know that the city likes your volunteer effort. So I think a lot of volunteerism could help improve our pride in our community and get people more involved in the community. But like Nathan said, it's up to the individual themselves to take that step to get involved, and it's well worth it. Thank you.
Thank you. The following question will be asked to all members of Group 2. What do you consider the most important issues for emergency preparedness for the city of Carbondale? Candidate Rice Sanders? Candidate,
Yes, emergency preparedness. I believe that I was at the Arbor District, and I believe that the city of Carbondale should engage with some of the information that I heard from Mrs. O'Hare. And it was a good presentation, and it incorporated, key points about things that we should do as a community. And it seems as though that neighborhood preparedness is really good, that the first responders are our own neighbors. And the city of Carbondale, and with the city council, we could come together to adopt some kind of form of emergency that would help our neighbors to come together. We know that during the ice storm, there were problems, and people were in their houses, and sidewalks were not done, and people were in some dangerous conditions. And we need to put together a plan that would enable our neighborhoods to prepare and to be safe. And we should also be concerned about transportation hazards, sidewalk accessibilities, radio communication, emergency management, volunteer opportunities, and collaborating and coming together with
thank you.
a form of emergency guidelines and standards. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Candidate Roberts.
So emergency preparedness is something that I think a lot of people think about, but don't either understand fully or don't do, because it's not something that happens every day. But when you need it, you need it. I got my EMT certification a number of years ago, and I'm trained in crisis response through my social work background. And so I really understand the importance of preparedness and prioritizing that. The city could, I went to the presentation that they had at the library, and the one that was presented through the Arbor District on emergency preparedness. And those were both excellent presentations. And again, that goes to community engagement. There were a lot of people there, and that was really heartening to see. I think the city could help facilitate organizations, local neighborhood organizations, in creating their emergency preparedness dynamic, and having that as something that we could prioritize with the training, creating infrastructure resilience, and doing a lot of community outreach. As Ginger said, the ice storm definitely created some difficulties. I took my four-wheel drive Tacoma out and helped people where I could, because I was able to get out in the bad weather.
Thank you. And Candidate Stanfield.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes. What would you consider the most important issues for emergency preparedness for the city of Carbondale?
Okay, thank you. So I think we all learned during the ice storm, followed by snowstorm and plummeting temperatures and things, that this is ready to happen at any moment. Like I'm still expecting another blizzard at any time here. Preparedness involves a lot of different things. First off, the city can help out by having a consistent, unified means of communicating what we have for resources during a time of, say, power outages and things. It was an inconsistent, spotty situation during the ice storm, and a lot of people didn't realize that the whole city hadn't lost power. Other people in the city didn't realize any of the city had lost power, and so trying to figure out where to go for warming up, getting power for health equipment, things like this, was nearly disastrous for a lot of people. In addition, as Don has already mentioned, the neighborhood association or neighborhood alliance meeting and then the Arbor District meeting, we learned about neighborhood mapping and the importance of each neighborhood to reach out, meet their neighbors, find out what they have in terms of resources in times of emergency, and get everybody to pool their resources and look out for each other during times of emergency. And this seems like something that we can all really invest just a little bit of time in and really reap a lot of benefits from.
Thank you so much. The following question will be asked to all members of Group 1. Who would you work with and how would you encourage economic growth in Carbondale? Candidate Cronenbarger? You need to unmute.
To encourage economic growth for Carbondale, of course, we have an economic development department here within the city of Carbondale. We also need to partner with our other regional economic development groups like SI Now, Greater Egypt Development, SIU. We also need to work with the Illinois Department of Development and Economic Opportunity to make sure that we are prepared, that we have all the checklists checked off of what is needed to entice businesses and industry to come. We need to have land available for anybody that wants to come in and develop an industry or business. We need to make sure that everything is up to date and that we are also working with startup businesses. The Small Business Development Center at SIU has programs to help guide new entrepreneurs through a very extensive program to make them successful in a business startup, and we need to encourage more and more of that. Provide some seed money to beginners to encourage them to start a business in Carbondale. And we just have to all work together on the same page, heading in the same direction, because we need the jobs here in Carbondale.
Thank you. Candidate Hill?
And the question was, who would we work with?
Who would you work with and how would you encourage economic growth?
Yeah, like Mr. Lee said, I definitely work with our city's economic development department. I'd also work with SIU's economic development. I believe they have a department there as well. I'd work with our local business owners. I'll work with our Chamber of Commerce. Our Chamber of Commerce did a presentation to the City Council on what they feel will help with our local economy, what they feel will help bring businesses in or whatnot. I'll work with the stakeholders that we already have in our community or whatnot. We just need to be willing to just be, as a city, to be open and make it easy. Make it easy for these businesses to want to come here, want to stay here. I was talking to another business owner. Another people we work with, the county. The business owner was saying that the county raised their, liquor tax or something to like 4%. So he's not able to compete with people that goes over to Murphy to go and get their liquor at the Walmart because there's not 4%. So just working with individuals that make those decisions that make it much, much harder for our business owners. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Colombo.
I'll talk a little bit about some of the personal experiences that I'm involved in currently. I sit on the Jackson Union County Port Authority Board, where we're in the very early stages of joining with several other counties and port authorities around the region at the behest of state representatives to launch a regional port authority that would allow us to seek greater resources from the federal government and pursue development at places like the airport here in between Murfreesboro and Carbondale. Additionally, I am currently working with the SIU Innovation Resource Center, which I just absolutely butchered the name of, but that's okay, on launching the Southern Illinois Film and Television Workforce Training Program. Additionally, I am a co-chair of the Chamber Ambassador Committee, where I've got to say, we're doing a really good job of turning the tide as a whole of the Chamber in addressing that perception of Carbondale not being business friendly. So I'm not just telling you what I would do, I'm telling you what I'm in the middle of doing right now. And if I'm elected to city council, by all means, the relationships that I carry in my personal and professional lives will carry over into my work with the city.
Thank you. The following final question is for group 2. What is the importance of Illinois conflict of interest laws and other ethics codes? Discuss your views of Illinois law regarding bidding for contracts and meeting qualifications. Candidate Roberts.
Trying to get my unmute. Accountability, honesty, and transparency is incredibly important in everywhere, but especially in city government. When I worked with IBM, I worked with an international team, and we had to trust each other. So we need policies that benefit the entire community rather than special interests. And so having the conflict of interest laws are incredibly important, because you have to have accountability within decision-making processes, and you have to have parameters for that. And those kind of laws and regulations give us those parameters to work with. We live in a small town, in a small area, so sometimes it can be difficult to fulfill some of the qualifications. And so we do the best we can. I think the key to that is part of the key to that is transparency, keeping an open process that has accountability, and where the community can see what's going on and ask questions and get honest, respectful answers. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Stanfield.
I'm an ethics professor, so I teach several classes every semester. I have hundreds of students every year talking about these sorts of issues. As far as Illinois law, I don't cover that so much in my class, right? I cover principles, and when it comes to these sorts of things, I'm guided more by principles than statute. But I think that we can agree that fairness, above board dealings with businesses and government agencies is an absolute must if people are going to trust the government that they have elected. I think that there are situations, I was having this conversation just earlier in the week about the policy, the procedures for low bids and how they're determined, like who's qualified and how a qualification is determined. And I think that that's something that could probably be improved upon, because I have personally had to repair work that was done by low bid so-called contractors for city work. And so these are the sorts of things that I would like to know more clearly, what qualifies people for getting these low bids, because some of them seem so impossibly low that it doesn't feel right. And I think that's the sort of thing that people are seeing as far as how the city works.
Thank you. Candidate Rye Sanders.
Yes, conflict of interest in local government. We are guided by IML on these situations that we often have to deal with. And local officials have to ensure that they're serving the public. And we need to be transparent and accountable and open about our decision makings as it relates to the people that we represent. I often bring up situations at council meeting to make sure that we are not overstepping and that we are not have a conflict of interest on any matter. And with bids, it is a problem with low bids. And it's a problem when I see the same company for 12 and 13 years being the lowest bidder. There's problems with maybe even nepotism. But these are some of the things that we need to deal with as a city of Carbondale to make sure that we are above board with what we are doing and that there is no conflict of interest. And if there is, there are things that we can do. We can recuse ourselves. We can not be in the discussions, but always allow the public to know about situations that may even look like it's a conflict of interest. And so we want to make sure that we do not engage in such activities.
Thank you. We will now move on to part 3, the concluding remarks. Please take the remaining time to tell us more about your qualifications, respond to your opponent's comments, or tell us anything else you would like to mention. For this portion, the response time is also 1.5 minutes. The order for the responses was chosen randomly. Candidate Frohnenbarger.
First of all, thanks to the League of Women Voters of Jackson County for hosting this all candidates forum for the city council election, and to the Carbondale Public Library for their technology and expertise to broadcast the forum via Zoom. I care about our town of Carbondale and want to get Carbondale back on track. While previously serving as a city councilman, I always did my homework before meetings and for projects the city undertook. I have the experience, dedication, and community involvement to serve the citizens of Carbondale. It is important that citizens exercise their right to vote in the city election, which affects you more on a daily basis than state or federal elections. Sadly, in the last city election in 2023, only 18.9% of Carbondale registered voters cast a ballot. And that figure was just 15.6% for the 2021 election. Make your voice heard by voting on April 1st, 2025 city election. Tell your friends, your neighbors, your family to get out and vote. Early voting is available at the Civic Center on March 17th, 19th, 21st, 26th, 27th, and 28th from 9 to 3 each day. Let's get Carbondale back on track. I am number 4 on the ballot, so vote for me for City Council. Thank you very much for attending tonight's session.
Thank you. Candidate Colombo.
In my opening remarks, I said 2 things towards the end. That I didn't have to go to the world in Carbondale. The world came to me. And the Carbondale changes people who go on to change the world. I'm lucky enough to be raising 2 teenagers at the high school right now who are exemplary of that opportunity. And I don't do this for them. I get to be involved in their lives and make sure that they get these opportunities because I'm there helping guide that opportunity for them. But not everybody understands how to navigate these opportunities in Carbondale. And that's part of what city government is charged with doing, making sure that all of our citizens have access to all of the opportunity and all of the benefit of growing up, maturing, becoming an adult, and being able to even give back in a community like Carbondale that is unlike anywhere in this country, anywhere in this world. I've always seen our city government as a mechanism to do that. It is not by any means the only mechanism to do that, to benefit all people in this community, but it is one of the strongest ones we have. And that's why I'm greatly interested in participating in it as an elected representative. If you'd like to know more, please come meet me at my meet and greet next Friday, March 7th. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Rice Sanders.
I have 4 years with the city of Carbondale, 27 years with the state of Illinois, 10 years as a chaplain for DuPage Correctional Center, a shelter representative at the Lighthouse in Marion, Illinois, founder of Women for Change, spearheaded the Black Chamber of Commerce, also the first one to do a unity march with women and our Women for Change group. I am your candidate, and Carbondale, I am an incumbent write-in candidate. So you already know something is wrong in Carbondale. And so I'm here to tell you that as a member, I have deep desires for growth and regrowth in Carbondale. I envision new growth through industry and to bring jobs to enhance the quality of life and living conditions. My goal is always to improve economic development in the city of Carbondale, and that our young people can go to work and earn money and become valuable, thriving citizens of our community. Together, we can create a vibrant and prosperous Carbondale, but it has to be across the board for everybody. 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 Thank you.
Candidate Stanfield.
Oh, I guess I was already unmuted. Oops. So here's what I've learned in the past couple months of talking to people, knocking door to door and meeting people around town, is that we have a lot of ways to get involved in our community. It doesn't have to be in terms of city government. There are so many neighborhood organizations and community organizations that are doing so many good services for our community. We need to do a better job as a city in organizing and coordinating a lot of those services, so there's smooth and efficient communication of what they are and how they are available. I encourage everyone to get involved in any way you can, right? It doesn't have to be through the city of Carbondale. Don't wait for the city to do anything that's going to help you. Get out and get involved yourself. That being said, city council is one way to help improve the state of the situation in Carbondale, and I'd like to be involved in that direction. So get out to vote, tell your friends. Don't forget to also tell your friends what it is that you love about Carbondale and why it's worth getting out to vote. And I'm #1 on the ballot. However you pronounce my name, there I will be. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And candidate Roberts.
Thank you all so much for being here tonight and taking the time to be engaged in our city's future. One of the things I wanted to mention is that we can make big changes without a high financial cost by changing zoning. And that's something that the city council has a lot of power over. Our current zoning is really a suburban zoning with the mall out far away, and you have to have cars to drive around to get groceries and get to places. One of the things we really need here is neighborhood walkability. When I was in high school over here at CCHS, there was a little store, Jim and Ruth's, over on Hickory Street, just north of the old high school, that I used to walk to during lunch and get Kit Kat bars. And there were always folks from the neighborhood there. That type of little neighborhood store can help with food deserts. It can enable people to get to know and talk to their neighbors, because we're Midwesterners, so we talk to everybody all the time in grocery lines. And that kind of community bonding can cut down on crime. So it's all interrelated. Carbondale is a community with incredible potential, like I mentioned before, but realizing that potential takes leadership that listens, that's transparent, that's ethical and that takes action. My experience, both in public service and in the private sector, including my time at IBM, has given me the skills to navigate complex issues, find solutions, and get things done. I'm running for city council because I believe accountability matters. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And candidate Hill.
Yeah, just a little bit more, back just on me. I was appointed, like everyone knows. One question that I was asked was, why did I want to serve on the city council, and what did it mean to me? And the city council is just another spot for me to serve my community in a different form. That is something I've always done. I've done it since I was 7 years old. I want to continue. My time being as a council member proves for itself. You can ask during my first couple of months, how many times I was at the Civic Center because someone emailed me because they had a problem. How many times I called up our former city manager and our current city manager. How many times I called Faith Johnson. How many times I called Mayor Harvey to address some of these concerns. They are tired of me, but that is something that I am willing to do in order to serve my community. That is what we're here for. We are here to serve you. And that is what I'm going to do. So I'm running as a write-in. All you have to do is write my name, Hill, on the line, and that's what it's for. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you to the candidates for your participation this evening and your willingness to serve. Thank you to the audience for spending the time to become a more informed voter. Be sure to take advantage of early voting that has already begun, or vote in person on April 1st.